clicked on this video because you want to know how to big turbo your ST and what you should buy. So stick around and we're going to dive deep into this. We're going to go over the parts I bought, why I bought them, and kind of reason it out in your head if you want to go big turbo on the ST. So starting off, we're going to go ahead and talk about the turbo. Now the turbo I went with is the Garrett GTX 2867R, and this is the Gen 2, so just a couple refinements over the years that Garrett had made. Now you can spec this in two different exhaust housings. You can get the 64AR and the 86AR. I chose the 86AR because it has way better flow capabilities on the top end rather than the 64. Now that's something I want on this car because I want to be able to flow a lot more power up top and turn up the boost. Now something good about this turbo is that it comes pre-built for external wastegate. So all you have to do is buy a wastegate and add that on for future capabilities of your car. And what this does is it'll allow it to boost up higher. You can hit about 30 pounds of boost after external wastegate. Because this turbo is limited by the wastegate, about 26 psi. That's what you're going to be running. So on E30 I'm running about 23 psi, and 91 I'm running about 25 psi. Now cost. This turbo, I wrote it down, I made a whole list. Now this turbo is about $2,245. Now there are cheaper options out there on the market like B&R. I think even BorgWarner has some, but I specifically went with this turbo because of the reputation that Garrett carries, and just because it comes built in with the external wastegate, and that's there for future capabilities, as I said. So moving on to number 2, we have the charge pipe kit. Now this is going to run you about $550. I went with the 3P Performance full hot side kit. Now this goes under the motor and up to the turbo, all the way to your intercooler, and your blow-off valve is going to be right on the driver's side of the car. Now this kit comes with the Go Fast Bits blow-off valve, and I think this sounds the best when it comes to blow-off valves for the car. I didn't want an HKS because it's not a Japanese car. I didn't want a tile, and I had been reading a lot on the Go Fast Bits, and they are awesome. They make amazing noises, and it's not too overpowering, and you can adjust it too, so that's awesome. Now coming in at number 3, you're going to need a true vacuum source, and I'll put that on the screen of what it looks like. So because you're going big turbo, you need an external vacuum source for your blow-off valve. It's not built into the turbo like the stock. So I went with the Steeda true vacuum source kit, and this comes with the prongs that you're going to need, and you're going to need either 3mm or 6mm vacuum hose. I went with the 3mm because that's what was required for my blow-off valve. It could be different for yours depending on what blow-off valve you go with. Now for number 4, it's very important that you go with proper tuning for big turbo. You don't want to cheap out on your tuning at all. Now I went with Alan over at Edge Autosport. Now he was amazing at tuning this car, and he knows the EcoBoost platform very, very well, and it was so awesome to see him work with me and just get this car dialed. We did about 6 revisions on 91 and about 3 or 4 on E30. Now he doesn't stop refining your car until it is perfect and the way he likes it, and he asks you how you feel about it, and he gets your car dialed. Unlike other tuning companies, like I've had Stratified, I know they will charge you extra for a data log and to get things better, which is not really cool. So this is about $550. Now it's worth every penny to me because I know that he was going to do a good job, and my buddy Cameron, he has a YouTube channel, and he went with this guy on his ST and E30 tuning, and it's amazing. Now number 5, it's very important that you have the proper spark plugs. So I was having problems with ignition cut, and it was just jumping everywhere under boost. Now This was because the spark plug gap was not correct. I had it super wide, and that's because I had an off-the-shelf tune, and those don't require as much demand as a big turbo. Big turbo has a lot more boost, pressure, fuel. It'll blow out the spark easily. So I went with a 0.024 spark gap. Now this is what Alan recommended, and it's been perfect, hasn't given me any problems. Now I'm also running the NGK Iridium step coulter plugs. Now I'll put that on the screen so you guys can go and get some. Now number 6, downpipe fitment. This was super hard because I went with a cheaper downpipe early on, and I went with the Megan Racing Catless, which it was good with the stock turbo, but with the big turbo it did not fit inside the turbo, like the flange. That is because Garrett has a super high precision on their turbo, so I recommend going with a Cobb downpipe or something reputable. Don't cheap out on your downpipe. Make sure you have a 3-inch intake, because the turbo housing is exactly 3 inches, so you don't want anything less than that, because you don't want to choke up this turbo when you're trying to make power, and you may run into that if you are running a stock intake or a smaller intake like the cowl intake, and that's what I was running previous, but that was fine because I was on stock turbo. So it is very important, doesn't matter what company you go with, just make sure it's a 3-inch intake. Now I would say or recommend setting more money aside just in case you break stuff. Now I had something very random happen. I had my coolant reservoir cap break inside the actual reservoir, so I had to get a new reservoir and cap because it does not come with a cap when you buy it from Ford. So this ran me about $180, and then this line, the coolant overflow line that crosses back here, decided to break, so that was another $30 that I didn't have in my budget, so I had to wait a while. So just make sure you have extra money to set aside just in case something random happens. Now I also recommend you have supporting mods like a front mount intercooler and a catch can. You just want to make sure that the maintenance and the liveliness of your car stays happy by having the right mods. Now we're pretty much done here with mods. I have 3-inch or a 3-inch downpipe, 3-inch intake, and I have a Ford Performance catback. Now this is pretty much what I needed to do to get this car big turboed, and this is what you guys need to do. Now what you buy is up to you, whether it be a different turbo, different charge pipe kit, doesn't matter to me. I just want to help you guys out and show you what I did. So now we're going to go for a little ride along, and you guys can hear and see what it's like to drive a big turbo ST. Now, daily driving, this car is fantastic. I don't feel like I lost any daily drivability. I love it. Boost comes in a little later, but that doesn't matter because I'm usually cruising about 3,000 RPM, so I'm pretty much in power band all the time if I want to be. Now drone, people may be worried about drone. It's actually a lot quieter with the bigger turbo because you got the bigger blades in there. It's like a muffler already. I noticed a key difference in exhaust note. It's a lot deeper with this big turbo than on your stock turbo. I like it. It sounds a lot better, and it doesn't sound like any other 4-cylinder I've heard. It's not tingy, it's not too raspy, it's perfect. And the setup I am running is a 3-inch catless downpipe. We're in Mexico, and we're running a Ford Performance catback. Now I think that's an awesome combo, and you're not losing any power. Now you may be wondering, well, the Ford Performance is a 2.5-inch intake, or a 2.5-inch exhaust. Now I looked this up and I did extensive research, and nobody said that it limits power. Now maybe if you go like a 3071, you're flowing a lot more exhaust gas, so you may run into that, but I haven't had any problems. Now maybe I'll do a video on a 3-inch versus a 2.5-inch exhaust, and we'll do a dyno session or something and see how much power you really gain. So comment if you want to see that. I love the sound of this blow-off valve, and you can hear how amazing that turbo sounds inside the cabin. Sounds so good. Reminds me of like a big turbo diesel. You don't lose any turbo noise. You actually gain so much more than stock. You're gonna be like, what the heck? How is this thing coming from a 4-cylinder? I hope you guys can hear that noise. It is mint. I'm gonna do a little third gear rolling. Thing with Alan, I felt an immediate difference in the tuning for downshifts. I don't know what he does, but he makes it crisp. Like downshift, I got no problem. Like before it was jumpy and it felt weird downshifting, but now it feels perfect. Definitely grabs a lot more attention now. I've gotten like hundreds of thumbs up now that people can hear the turbo. Before, like nobody respects the ST, but having a big turbo definitely put a smile on people's faces. Alright, well that's gonna wrap up today's video. Like I said, if you want to see like an exhaust difference, maybe I can pick up a 3-inch exhaust and we'll see what the differences are. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead and subscribe, like. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. Now that is a huge goal of mine that we hit in under a year, and that's crazy. And I just want to thank all you guys that have been supporting, and shout out to Cameron. He's been helping me through YouTube, trying to figure out things and just figure out the whole algorithm. So big shout out to you guys. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and it wouldn't be possible without you. So thank you, and I'll catch you in the next video.